So you wanna be a picture book writer, then you gotta write picture books. And you're gonna need a bucket load of bright ideas for titles, plots, and hooks. If you're partial to prose or you're raring to rhyme, then repeat after me. It's a challenge, but I'm gonna tackle each story 1 month at a time with 12 by 12.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 12 by 12 Picture Book Podcast. And for those of you who haven't been following Julie on social media, she recently got to spend a whole entire month in Australia. Yes, I am totally jealous. But she shared a lot of adventures, but several literary adventures. And I know that we have a lot of listeners that live in Australia and we get asked questions about the Australian book market and things like that. So, Julie, I want to know, like, how was it? Like, where did you, I know you did a couple of different things. So why don't we start with, you told me that you visited the Pam Allen Museum exhibit.
Well, okay. Yeah. So first of all, I just want everybody to know that I didn't go there to go spelunking into the Australian picture book market or whatever. My daughter is living in Australia right now. She's 23 and she's doing a graduate degree at University of Sydney.
That's so cool.
In art and museum curation. And I had never been to Sydney or to Australia at all. And I thought, it's such a long way. If I'm going to go, I will go for a period of time so I can recover from jet lag, spend time with her, but not, she's still in school and I have to work. So the primary impetus for this trip, at least, was just to go and see the sites and see my daughter more specifically. But I knew that there were folks there that I had either met before or had met online that I would like to connect with in real life. And then I was surprised by people who saw me posting my tourist photos and said, "Oh my gosh, are you in Australia? We need to get together."
That's so cool.
And so one of the things I love about that is I always say that if you're in 12 by 12, you'll never go to another conference alone.
Right.
But what I should amend that to now is if you're in 12 by 12, you just won't go anywhere alone. Because I can fly to the other side of the world.
Right.
A different hemisphere. And there are 12 by 12 members there.
Right.
Who I didn't even realize were there. Who are like, oh my gosh, let's get together and talk picture books. So
that is amazing.
Yeah. So I have to give credit to Karen Hendricks, who is a 12 by 12 member, who is the first one to reach out to me.
Aww.
And
hi, Karen.
And this was like within 2 days of me arriving and starting to post pictures. Karen said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're in Australia. Let's get together." And she booked this fabulous Italian, because everybody knows I love Italy.
Yes, it's your spiritual home, I like to say.
That was facing the Harbor Bridge and right by the Opera House.
Oh my goodness.
And she brought me several of her picture books. And I didn't know this at the time, but because I thought she was in Sydney, but she was actually in a place called Shell Harbor, which is about 2 hours she traveled by train and whatnot to get to have lunch with me. And I was just a little verklempt about that.
Yeah.
And what was amazing, not that I should be surprised, but we sat down and we talked as if we had been friends who'd known each other in childhood and had just been apart and then come back together, like as if there was no like small talk, getting to know you, whatever.
Right.
Like when you share a passion for something specific, like picture books, it just oozes and it starts flowing right away and you start talking about all the things. So Karen brought me some of her books, which lovely gift. And she told me she gave me two tips.
Mm.
One was you have to go to the Library of New South Wales
Oh.
because they have an exhibit going on right now. Pamela Allen, who is an author illustrator who's got like more than 50 books published. And,
Oh, wow.
so it would be akin to like
Oh,
last winter, I went to a Marie Sendak exhibit
right, right,
here
right.
at the Denver Art Museum. So it was something like that. Or like, we have the Eric Carle Museum here that has
Right.
rotating exhibitions. And she said Pamela Allen is a classic. Kids here grow up with her books, and she's an icon. I will admit that until today, when I went to go look at Pamela's website, just so I would have a little bit more to talk about beyond what I saw at the exhibit,
Yeah.
she's actually in New Zealand, a Kiwi
Oh,
author illustrator.
okay.
Not know that. She's won all kinds of literary awards in Australia and so on.
Oh,
So Karen, when we're having lunch with this beautiful, like 5-course Italian meal with the view of the harbor bridge and all of this, and she said, you really need to go and see the Pamela Allen exhibit. So I had that in the back of my head. And the other thing she told me was you need to meet Suzanne Gervais. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly because it could be Gervais or Gervais or whatever. But Suzanne is the RA of Eastern Australia
oh,
for SCBWI.
okay.
So, Society for Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, if you're familiar, they're a big professional organization that is international. And she said, you really have to meet with Suzanne because she's our RA here and she's been in the business, and won all these awards and published 30, 40 books. So she put me in touch with Suzanne, so we'll get to that in a minute. So Karen gave me these two great tips.
Right, right.
And we talked picture books. We talked about the Australian market versus the US market and all of
Mm.
that. And then when I posted those pictures of Karen and myself, another 12 by 12 member reached out to me and said, oh my gosh, are you in Sydney? We need to meet. And that was Sheena Garg.
Oh,
And she is actually one of our scholarship recipients this year.
yes, she is.
And so I went to a different neighborhood in Sydney to meet her for a drink one night.
Oh,
And there's more, but anyway, I'm going to let you ask me some questions so I don't just become a travelogue here.
well, okay. So you mentioned a couple of places that you visited. Did you go to any bookstores or anything there?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I did. So I wanted to share a few, and I'll talk about the exhibit in a minute, which was amazing. But I was curious to find out if what I had heard about the Australian market and the differences between the Australia, New Zealand market and the US were still true, right? And one of those differences is that to be published by an Australian publisher,
Hmm.
i.e., a publisher not like HarperCollins Sydney or what,
Right,
but
right,
like
right.
the local Australian publishing houses in Australia, you don't need an agent
Oh,
for
okay.
that.
Yeah,
So they're small and they obviously have very limited number of titles and books,
yeah,
but you just submit to them directly. And it's still very competitive
I'm
because they
sure.
don't publish a lot of books.
Right,
If you're writing a book, say about wallabies or kangaroos or, and you're just intending it to be a book for the Australian market, you can just submit
right.
manuscripts directly to them.
Hmm.
So Aussie, it's probably easier to say, Aussie and Kiwi authors and illustrators really only need agents if they're looking to place outside of the Australian market.
Oh, okay.
And typically into the North American market.
Right, right.
So that's one thing that was interesting and that was true. I did go to a few bookstores. I would next time I go, because my daughter it seems is going to be living in Australia now for good.
Wow.
Um, I'm going to be more methodical about how I research things
Yeah.
because all I can give at the moment are just anecdotes.
Right.
And based on the conversations that I had with Karen and Sheena and Suzanne, some things that I noticed that were different.
Okay.
One, there really isn't much of a picture book biography market there
Oh,
yet. The nonfiction tends to be nature related and indigenous to Australia related,
hmm.
nature, environment, animals, like tons and tons of books about Australian animals, which I mean, come on, who doesn't want to write books about kangaroos and cockatoos and
Yeah, absolutely.
wallabies and
Yeah,
whatnot?
yeah.
And so I thought that,
Koalas? Are koalas Australian?
yeah, yeah.
See?
I did not,
Koalas?
I will just confess, I did not see a kangaroo,
What?
just much to my dismay. So that's going to be at the top
That's
of
why you
my
got to go
list.
back.
I know, right? But anyway,
There's a baby kangaroo sanctuary I follow on Instagram, and it is, you got to follow it. It's the cutest thing ever. So you'll have to go there next time.
right. I think a lot of Westerners imagine Australia is just overrun with kangaroos. Like you're just gonna like they're like squirrels, you're gonna
Right. But you were in a major city,
but I'm in a
that's where
major
you
city. And
spent.
by the
Yeah.
way, they don't have squirrels in Australia.
What?
I know. So
Wow.
I got
They probably
thinking,
have something super duper scary instead, though, because don't they
right?
have like spiders that are the size of a dinner plate and things like
Yes.
that?
Yeah, I didn't see one of those,
Oh,
thankfully. But even their birds are beautiful, but like, oh my gosh, they are terrifying, especially at night, you know? I think if I moved there permanently, I would miss the sweet bird song that we have here. This is one thing I love about travel and why I think it feeds creativity so much
hmm.
is all of the things that you take for granted in your environment
Right. Or that you're just used to,
that
right?
you're used to and you don't think that they're extraordinary,
Right.
but then they're completely extraordinary to someone from the outside. And so my daughter has a boyfriend in Australia and he came to visit not this past year, but the year before for Thanksgiving and was absolutely just jumping for joy seeing a squirrel
Oh my gosh, really?
because they don't have squirrels.
Yeah, guess not.
And and so I got thinking one of the things that we say is this is very much stream of consciousness, everybody. So I'm sorry that there's no logical order to any of these thoughts. But like when we talk about rhyming picture books,
Uh-huh.
the difficulties in selling them. One of
Right.
the reasons is because it's harder to get them in translation into
Hmm.
foreign languages.
Right.
Then I got thinking, what about environments though? Like I have a squirrel picture book that's on submission right now. And would that be less likely to be sold in Australia because they don't have squirrels? I mean, I
Probably.
don't know.
That's
Like
crazy.
we have
Yeah.
we have narwhal books and I'm
Right.
I'm trying
Right.
to
Yeah.
think, but like I can't think off the top of my head of a major book here in North America that features a kangaroo main character, for example,
Mm.
outside of like Horton Hears a Who,
Right. Right. That's interesting.
And so
Yeah.
it got me thinking about, the different people have different needs and
In different places.
representation
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
it
I
goes
love hearing though that there's like you notice a lot of nature books and a lot of animal books because I've also never been to Australia, but in my head, I think of it as a very outdoorsy, active kind of community or country, as it were. Like it's always kind of presented that way as people are
right.
really like out in nature and on the go and in the outback. And I kind of like hearing that that's like
Yeah.
the focus of their picture books, because to me, that's a reflection of what their
Right.
aspirations for their society are, but also what their society may be. Yeah.
Right. And one thing I'll say just about in my travels in general,
Mm-hmm.
almost every country that I've been to in the last, say, 10 years, so include pre-pandemic, because
Yeah.
they are all way more aware of and concerned about climate change than we are in the US.
Yeah.
I saw this unfold in real time, actually, while I was there, unfortunately, the war in Iran starting.
Mm.
And Australia is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's a continent,
Continent.
but their their oil reserves are much more limited, say, than they are here.
Uh-huh.
So there is a massive awareness of conservation and not being dependent on fossil fuels and all of this in a way that just doesn't exist here in the States, unfortunately.
Right.
And I'm not going to go too far down that path. But I think that's one of the reasons, and this is just me speculating,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that's one of the reasons why there's so much pride and appreciation for their natural environment,
Right.
say
Yeah.
animal
Yeah.
habitats,
Yeah.
carry over from another meeting. So the nonfiction seems to me to be more focused on that, on
Yeah.
climate, environment, nature, animals, but not so much in picture book biographies. And I would love for that to change. So it seems like, well, that's kind of cool because maybe there's
Yeah.
an opening there. The other big thing I noticed, and granted, I only talked to 3 real live authors there, but the conversation around diverse books and the need for them and all of the with that hasn't quite made it in the same form that
Okay.
we have it here. So in the beginning of this year, 2026, we had a webinar with Agent Saba Suleiman
Mm-hmm.
from Talcott Notch. And she said that here in the US, agents are really looking for, I think she called it diversity 201 or 2.0,
Yes. Yeah.
where we're beyond the, I'm going to hopefully paraphrase her correctly. We're past the point where the books are basically written almost for white people
Right.
about a certain culture,
Yeah. Here are the
or
definitions of my
or
culture.
right, or just to give the basics to kids, right? So
Right.
when we need diverse books first formed like what 10, 15 years ago, a lot of the books around then were about special foods or holidays or traditions or hairstyles or grandparents or what have you. And now,
Yeah. Which were all very important at the
which
time
which
because they were missing in the market.
yeah, and there are some very beautiful books about
Yeah.
the importance of names and being a non-native English speaker or what have you. And now what's interesting is that, because I'm not going to say that there isn't more work to be done on representation,
Always.
but we've got a lot of those diversity 1.0 or 101.
Yeah.
And now agents are looking for books that feature diversity but are going more in depth.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's not necessarily, the diversity isn't the thing. It's just happens to be this character in this situation because,
Right.
and moving into deeper, more complex, fully, all the range of experience with diversity is just being a part of the book rather than
Right.
like the
Right.
focus. And I think in my impression in Australia was that it's more still on diversity 101. I saw, unfortunately, Australia's history with its indigenous people is not all that different from ours here in North America. But so I did see books that were written by Indigenous authors, but I didn't see a lot of books because it's a lot of, in Sydney especially, there's
Hmm.
a huge population of East Asian and South Asian
Oh, wow.
because that's like the closest
Right, right.
geographically.
They're all neighbors.
And so I would have thought, and I'm sure there are, I just didn't see them. I went into 3 different bookstores. So
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I would definitely go back and look deeper into that. But the few authors that I did talk to kind of agreed that it's still moving more in that direction now. There is, however, a very acute awareness of the need. So
Oh.
Suzanne in particular, who
Hmm.
is the RA for Eastern Australia, is I mean, I absolutely loved her. So she was the last one I met before I left.
Uh-huh.
She's like a giant heart walking.
Oh.
You know, she's just like a heart on legs.
Oh.
And she's very passionate about representation and all kids feeling, included and
Yeah.
represented and so on. So I think I would be curious to know what they're doing in that region. We didn't get a chance to talk about it, but I would be curious to know what they're doing to cultivate authors from those backgrounds.
Hmm.
So Sheena, who is one of our scholarship winners, was born in India, raised in New Zealand, went to college in Australia, moved to England, and then went back to live in Australia.
Wow.
And her husband is also had the same background, although
Oh.
I can't remember if he was born in New Zealand or not. But she, I think, kind of said similar things that it's like still a different focus in
Right.
Australia, but she is working on getting an agent and being able to publish in the North American market too.
Oh, that's great. Did Susan have any other insights that you'd want to share?
Oh, she was a hoot. I mean, we had such a fun time. I think we talked more just about craft and unfortunately, given the happenings and the goings on, we talked a lot about the US
Mm,
political situation.
yeah.
I think because they don't necessarily get Americans to just talk to about it
Oh.
like all the time, and
Right, right.
people have a lot to say.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but she talked about SCBWI in the region and how it used to be Australia, New Zealand all in one,
Oh,
but then it got pretty big. So now there's New Zealand, I think, has its own, and then Australia is separated into Eastern and Western.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
So,
All
yeah.
right. Tell us about this Pamela Allen exhibit because
Yeah.
you told me some things about it and it just sounds amazing.
Oh, it was incredible. So, first off, the Library of New South Wales is just such a beautiful building. And they're celebrating, while I was there, their 200th year. And so
Oh,
they had all of these special exhibits and things going on. They had interviews with librarians from different libraries all across Australia,
oh, wow.
pictures and talking about the importance of libraries. And it was just about enough to bring me to my knees in terms of
Yeah.
feeling weepy and sort of missing the times when it was just sort of like, of course, libraries are important.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
so the building itself is 200 plus years old. They
Wow.
have, so you walk in, there's this stained glass, reading room that just, my daughter Molly and I actually went in there and worked for a little bit. They have a Shakespeare room. This is something that I could not believe as an American. First of all, everywhere you go, no metal detectors.
Oh,
No security to speak of. I mean, I was
wow.
in a backpack and I just walked in, and then you go into the Shakespeare room,
Uh-huh.
and they have like one book that I opened was series of his plays that was published in like 1840.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, wait, I'm just allowed to take this off the shelf and open it and
And
read
touch
it?
it?
Yeah, I have like, what is going on here? What in
Wow.
the name of literature is happening here? And so it was this little room. It was, and everything in it was Shakespeare or critical studies of Shakespeare. Or
Wow.
the Pamela Allen exhibit was, one of these special ones that they were doing in honor of the anniversary. And so I was not familiar with her work
Mm-hmm.
really before, but most people I think are familiar with Mem Fox because she's an Australian author, but she's very well published in the United States. And I
Right.
found it seemed like
What books do you think people would know from Mem Fox? Just so we're
so, oh gosh, you had to ask.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. It's just that there's so many, and it's like, let me,
Well,
one
we
that,
can
one that I know from when my kids were really little was It's Time for Bed, right? It's time for bed, little mouse, little mouse.
Aw.
Darkness is falling all over the house. And Possum Magic is one, 10 Little Fingers and 10 Little Toes, Whoever You Are. And she has quite a few books that have really been published primarily in Australia, like
Okay.
I Am Australian Too, for instance. But she, Beach Lane Books of Simon and Schuster,
Mm-hmm.
publish a lot of her books
Okay.
like
Okay.
direct into the North American market.
Right,
She's
right,
a
right.
phenomenal, she's a phenomenal rhymer. So if you're writing in rhyme, you definitely want to check her out. So Pamela Allen's work kind of had that vibe to me, like
Oh,
a
okay.
young, really appealing to young readers, like the youngest readers, and very nostalgic feeling, but not
Oh,
but not unmodern
right, right.
illustrations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they had it set up so that there were interactive parts of it. And then there were also originals of some of her illustrations from her most famous books. And so you would see one of the things I loved was that you could see the process. So they would show the sketch dummy and
Oh, wow.
like more filled in sketches or
Right.
and then you would see like first color and then and then ultimately the final. And one thing that was pretty encouraging to me is just like we are all putting in so much work,
Mm,
and
hmm
you could
hmm
see it. And my one of my favorite examples from that exhibit was she has this whole series of books called that based on this character, Mr. McGee. And there's the original one, and then there's Mr. McGee, like up in a tree, Mr. McGee and the biting fleas, and so on.
Oh,
And in the first Mr. McGee book, when she's introducing him, the conceit of that character is, he's very focused on himself,
ah,
right? And so she originally thought that she was going to name him Mr. Me,
obviously.
right?
Yeah.
But then there's in the information that was provided, she decided against it because it just didn't sound as good. It was hard to make Mr. Me, whereas
Mm,
Mr. McGee, putting
right.
emphasis on that, enabled her to get better rhythm in the words. So I got to see both how she worked, not just on iterations of the illustrations, but also the iterations of the words.
That's
And,
amazing.
her drafts looked a lot like my drafts, except they were all written by hand and then,
Right.
notes and things from
Oh.
and seeing the process is always amazing anyway. And
Hmm.
then to kind of say, wow, no matter where you're writing or illustrating from, the parameters of picture books and what makes them great kind of tends to be the same.
Yeah. So, Julie, I remember you telling me when you came back there was these cool interactive exhibits in that Pamela Allen exhibit. Can you tell us more about those?
Yeah. And compared to some of the, like I've mentioned, the Marie Sendak exhibit, for instance, there was an area there where, there were books laying around and chairs and stuff so kids could read the books and interact with them.
Yeah.
And that was true here too. But I felt like they really did a great job of making this a fun outing for kids.
Oh.
So, for instance, there was a wall where there were magnets of the characters with some of the backdrops from her books
Oh.
that were at the child level. So they could
Love
like
that.
pick up the magnets and kind of move them around and make their own story.
Oh.
And there was an interactive book where you could stand like in the center and you put your hand up and it gave you the option, do you want to read the book or do you want to dance with
Ah!
character? And so what you do is just sweep your hand and then the page would turn and it would read the book to you with all the noise. So this was one of
Oh, okay. So
it
it
had
was,
it had a
yeah, it was
band.
adaptable
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
neurodivergent or
Correct.
kids who don't like a lot of sound. So you could kind of choose your own adventure. That's so cool.
Right. And
Accessible. That was the word I was looking for. It was
accessible.
accessible for lots of different
Right.
kids.
My favorite one though, I'll share with you, but before that I want to put in a plug for my daughter Molly. And in our show notes, we will include a video that she made for her class on art curation because while we were there, and this was not planned, but she's like, I have to do this project where I'm talking about how, different environments that are, say, outside of the typical museum framework would
Hmm.
curate an exhibit. And she loved it so much because, of course, I read picture books to her when she was a kid.
Uh,
I swear, almost she loved it more than I did. So she started going around and taking, like, she did a video of me doing the interactive book and all of this. And for her class, she created a video from the perspective of the curator of this exhibit and how they approached and she has pictures and video with it and everything.
well, that's a full circle moment.
Right? Exactly. And what was really cool about that for me was just the reminder that yes, this is an art form.
Yes.
This is an art exhibit too. And
Hmm.
it's not just an exhibit about books, that this is art.
Hmm.
And the way it's presented really matters. And once again, just this humble reminder that children's picture books, illustrated books, are often kids' very first exposure to fine art.
Yes.
I mean, what Molly did with this is amazing. And like I said, we'll have the link to the video if you want to go, if you want to look at it in the show notes. But more evidence of that was the fact that there were these little groups of teenagers who were coming into this exhibit kind of giggly and almost like that when you're self-conscious because you're like this is kind of too old for this, but clearly they remembered these books from when they were kids. They were
Oh.
having so much fun, and I'd see them come in and then kind of watch them.
Hmm.
And when they came in, they'd be a little like giggly and self-conscious. And then
Oh.
by the end, they're sitting there playing with the books and all
Oh
this
my
stuff.
goodness. I love
And
that.
again, just the staying power that a great children's book has. And so I'll conclude with the if you're on watching this on YouTube, I have a board book version of this that I bought there called Who Sank the Boat? This is one of her books from like the 1980s, I think, talk about staying.
Yeah.
And it is so adorable. I'll share a little bit because it starts, you see this coastal house, and then it says, beside the sea on Mr. Peffer's place, there lived a cow, a donkey, a sheep, a pig, and a tiny little mouse.
Oh.
And they were good friends. And one warm, sunny morning, for no particular reason, I love that line, right? These are the kinds of things that just take it from good to great. They decided to go for a row in the bay. Do you know who sank the boat? And then, as you can imagine, the rest of it is all about the animals getting in one by one. And what's funny about this is that, of course, all of the animals are big except the tiny little mouse.
Right.
And so it's kind of cumulative, and there's so much visual humor here. And there's part of the exhibit was where you get to go and sit in the boat. And again, if you go watch Molly's video, you'll see me doing this.
Oh my goodness.
And characters were each, you know, those shape toys where
Yes.
square and square. So each one of the characters was attached to a shape.
Okay.
So you take them all out and you set them next to you on the boat, and then you put them back in one by one by the shape. And the last one that goes in is the tiny little mouse. And the mouse, and in front of you is like the scene, you know. And when the last one that goes in is the tiny little mouse, and then it's whoosh, and like the water, you know, squirts up like scream.
Oh, how fun.
So fun. I mean, I watched kids just play with that over and over again.
Oh, that's amazing.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I love that.
So thanks again to Karen Hendricks for sharing that with me. And then go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, I don't know if are you ready to move on? Because I'm going to switch subjects here because your Molly's boyfriend, Caleb, shout out to Caleb, planned just a wonderful day that you told me about. And you told me about this one, like, was it like a museum / bookstore?
Oh my gosh. It was like, yeah, Molly's boyfriend planned this day for us to be up in the Blue Mountains. And there were two things, that very literary things. One was we had lunch. Get this. The place was a combination winery, restaurant, and bookstore. But all
now, see, that's the dream.
Right. But it had a section that were new books and then used books.
Oh, wow.
And rare books. So it was like everything. And I'm just sitting there thinking, that's it. Just pull up a cot. I don't ever need to leave. I have everything I need right here. And also on that trip, we stopped where P.L. Travers had lived, and there's a statue, a Mary Poppins statue there, which I had to take a picture with because
well, obviously
Mary Poppins with her umbrella. And while we think of that with respect to the movie mostly here in the US, it's actually a very famous Australian children's book series. So the Mary Poppins in the statue is definitely the Mary Poppins from the book. So that was fun too. Yeah.
And what a perfect, place to take you.
Right.
With your, as being the fan and author of Julie Andrews' picture book biography.
Exactly. So it was so fascinating and so new. And then I even connected back with a friend from the way, way olden days of when I was first writing digital apps.
Oh
story.
my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, and Troop is a Group of Monkeys was my first published book,
Mm-hmm.
but not everybody knows that that came out as an app initially back when,
Right.
remember when everybody thought that
That was
storybook
going to be
apps were going
it.
to take over everything?
Yeah.
And I wrote a sequel to that called A Shiver of Sharks. And that was published only as an app, although
Okay.
some of the couplets are in the printed Troop is a Group of Monkeys.
Right.
And Karen Robertson at the time had written a shark themed app. It was like a treasure hunt and it was based in, I think it was called Treasure Kai. And she was really big teaching all about storybook apps for a while. And she got a whole bunch of us together who had shark apps to do promotions for them during Shark Week,
I remember that.
right? And but otherwise, that's we had worked together. I knew she was in Australia and
Yeah.
she reached out to me. And
Oh, wow.
so we got together
Ah,
and she took me on a tour of the quarantine station in Sydney where people used to go and have to stay for weeks to make sure that they
wow.
didn't have any diseases and all.
Right.
So how much fun my Molly was like, Mom, you know more people here than I do.
Well, I mean, picture book writers, kidlit writers, it's a small world, there's just no
Right.
strangers in our world. Everybody is so supportive. It's really one of the best communities to be a part of, online or in person. It's just so uplifting and encouraging and inclusive and all of those things. I mean, you went to the other side of the world and got to meet up with people that, you've only seen online. That's so
Yeah.
incredible.
It was so fun. It was so fun. And when I go back, which I will be more strategic and plan for doing more literary based things. This
Yeah,
honestly didn't plan anything in advance because I knew it was going to be all new and overwhelming. And
right.
so this was all just people who reached out to me and it was amazing.
I love that.
I was so, I felt so, valued and touched and the opportunity to meet 12 by 12 members that I would certainly never have had otherwise.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Picture book people are the best people.
They are. They are. So if you're in Australia, hit me up. I'll probably be back there next year around the same time, which is end of February, March-ish.
Wow. Well, that's incredible. Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Julie, for sharing your adventures with us, letting us live vicariously through you.
Yeah. Thank you. This was, by the way, this was Kelly's idea for this episode because she had to listen to me tell all these stories
I got to listen to
in
you tell
real
all
time.
those
And she said,
stories.
this would make a really fun podcast
Yeah.
episode.
Well, how often do you get to travel across the world and see, like, and experience book culture in a different way? I mean, it's just, yeah.
Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention. And
Yeah.
again, I only went into 3 bookstores. So this is and I was only in Sydney. So this, I don't want anybody coming to say, well,
A
but
very small cross section.
right. But I looked to see, okay, what North American authors am I seeing
Yeah.
here in Australia? Because it's very expensive for Australians to buy books that aren't being distributed in Australia. So, for example,
Oh, right. Okay.
like Sheena told me that after Saba Suleiman, I mentioned her webinar, she's an
Yeah.
agent, and Sheena said that she bought Stalactite and Stalagmite after that webinar because Saba was so like, this book is amazing.
Yeah.
But she had to order it on Amazon. It was like 40 Australian dollars or something. So it can be
Oh my
really
gosh.
expensive. So
Right, right.
I wanted to see like who are they bringing here?
Yeah, yeah.
And I saw 3 only. And now granted, these are I did not, in one of the bookstores was huge and I just barely glanced at the children's section.
Okay.
So keep that in mind. I saw Mac Barnett, John Klassen, and Sean Harris by extension of Mac Barnett because
right.
the future book is new and that one was everywhere.
Oh, wow.
And Sophie Blackhall.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, isn't Sophie Australian? I know she lives here now, but
But she is Australian.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, even though most of her books are being published first in the North American market, I guess that makes sense. And I'd kind of forgotten that for a minute there. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. I expected to see more than I did just because authors there say it's a small market and whatnot.
Yeah.
But there are still all the classics and all of that. So
interesting.
Next time I'm going to do more reconnaissance.
Well, like you said, everything was new this time. So I'm glad you just kind of let yourself watch it unfold and enjoy it as it came to you. And sometimes those are really the best adventures anyway. So
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. And I'm sure other Australian stories will pop up here and there on the podcast. So thank you for continuing to listen and download the podcast. And if you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe to the podcast on Apple or Spotify. And we have video of the podcast up on YouTube. So find us there as well at 12by12challenge.com. And we will see you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Good day, mates.
Do it together so never you fear. It's a handy little way to help you kick into gear. You're amazing, exciting. Look out, 'cause you're writing 12 by 12. 12 manuscripts. 12 by 12. 12 picture books. 12 by 12.